Hello, and welcome to the curriculum preview for the 6 weeks for science for kindergarten. We're going to talk briefly today about our last unit. This is going to be Unit 7, Organisms in the Environment, Part 2. Just a reminder of the biome view that we have. We talked about this last 6 weeks. In kindergarten, really, you're going to use whatever environments, habitats, biomes that come up in the curriculum resources or that you have on your campus. And this just kind of gives you a view of what your students will be encountering regarding life science biomes in the coming years. Okay, so let's take a look at the pacing guide for Unit 7. We have 3 content standards, and there's 9 days for each of those, which might seem like a lot, but I know that there's a lot of things happening in this 6 weeks. So I really want to just draw your attention to the partnering process skills. That's really going to be the bulk of the skill set that you're going to be focusing on with that content to really help prepare them for first grade. So this is a time to linger a little bit longer on the process skill part as well as the content. So let's talk a little bit about some resources for those process skills. I just want to point out that STEM Scopes has some really great resources for you for the process skills. One is called STEM Scope Coach in Action, and the screen shows where you can find that. And under there, you're going to find lots of specific to primary grade focus for teaching science. So if you've not been in there, that can give you a really nice overview of some different kind of resources that you may or may not be aware of. In addition, STEMscopes also has something called the Tools Primer, which is in the Teacher Toolbox, and you'll find that under the grades. When you go into Scopes, you'll find that on that page. It's called Teacher Toolbox, and there's specific lessons for each of your kindergarten process skills. So there's a lesson on how to use a collecting net, there's a lesson on how to set up a terrarium, and then as well as the equipment cards that you see there on the right-hand side. In addition to lessons about the tools, there's also, as I mentioned, a lesson for every single one of your process skills. So again, this is in the teacher toolbox. There it gives you an overview of the process skill that we have listed for the 6 weeks, and then it's got 2 little lessons in there for you to practice those with your kiddos. So I also want to touch base just a little bit on some of the resources within the unit overview for this 6 weeks. So I'm going to pull over our kindergarten unit overview. Let's see if I can get that in the screen here. And excuse me, I'm going to scroll up for just a moment. So here we are in the unit overview, and then we've got the pacing guide right there, and here are our standards for this 6 weeks. Just a couple of things that I wanted to just point out to you. The guiding questions would be wonderful, either oral or written responses. Their students should be able to answer these questions really thoroughly by the time they get finished with the unit using the unit vocabulary that's on the clarifier. And just a reminder, if you've been using the unit overview, you're familiar with these approaches to classroom delivery. Most of the images I get from here are from STEM Scopes, or I'll note if they're from somewhere else, so if you'd like to use those. But this gives you a nice overview of some of the resources, some of the kind of the nice to knows for the standards that we have. I just wanted to point out a couple of new resources that we have, and these are the last couple of pages on the unit overview. Just as a reminder, if you haven't noticed, I've linked all of the Aligned Comprehension Toolkit articles that would work well with this particular either process skill or content skill. And then I've actually scanned those articles so you can just click and access that. You'll see that right there. Hyperlink. So I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that great opportunity to reinforce reading in science or to help support your science content in your reading class. A couple of other things I just wanted to make note of are some of the supplies that we have in the science lab. There's materials in there to build a terrarium, an aquarium if you would like to do that, and collecting nets, which are listed for our tools. I'll keep scrolling here for just a couple of other things. And then I also just wanted to make sure that you were aware that we have some toy animals there when we start to look at grouping animals into different groups based on their physical characteristics. We have lots and lots of little plastic, really high quality toy animals of all kinds of different varieties. So those are located in the science lab. So I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. Okay, let me go ahead and pull back over here. Okay, and again, if you're not familiar with how to access the unit overview, here's a screen that shows you exactly how to get into that in Canvas. And I'm going through this pretty quickly, so you can pause it if you need to look at that a little bit longer. Okay, and then this is another a question I get a lot with life science of exactly what does life science hands-on look like. And so I have a couple images from some of our campuses and a couple of ideas there. Anytime we can bring real living things into either the lab or take students outside, that's really what hands-on looks like. It also can look like lots of games and models, maybe drawing what they see and so forth. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of an overview of what that looks like when we get into the life science standards. And then here's a couple of other examples from some of our campuses. Just, if you've got some colleagues that have some plants in their classroom, bring those in. If you've got plants from home, bring them in. Your campus, even if it's not really fancy with the planting, it's going to have lots of things growing this time of year, and your kids are going to be amazed at what they find out there. Okay, and then I just wanted to wrap up with some upcoming changes that will be going into effect next year. You may or may not have heard about the science standards being streamlined, and that is something that the state has done over the last 2 years, and those are going to go into effect next year. It's somewhat like a standards overhaul, but this is really just designed to be a deletion, an edit, or somehow streamlining some of the intense number of content standards that we have in science. And you might not see that perspective so much at kindergarten, but when you look vertically, it makes quite a difference. So just to kind of give you a visual, I saw this in a fifth grade science and math teacher's classroom, and what they had done is they had printed out all of the math standards, which you'll see on the left-hand side. So those are all the math standards they have to cover in fifth grade over a year. And then on the right, those are all of the science standards. So we have some standards that come back from the lower grade levels that they have to review, which is one of the reasons why that makes that so long. But also some of those standards take quite a bit of time when you add in those process skills. So what I've been working on for the last 2 years is taking all of those changes and really making notes about how they impact vertically, kinder first, all the way up. And these changes were made up through high school. So I've been working on that for the last year, and I'll be ready to roll that out to you this summer and then also in August. So here's how you'll know what's happening. Those streamlined standards will take place next year, starting in the 2018-19 school year. And if you're really excited about learning about that and you want to see, you can actually go and look and see what those changes are right now. They're on the TEA page, so you can see what changes that they've made. In addition, you can go to some training this summer. This is that second bullet. I'm going to offer a session that really looks at how those standards have changed and then what the curriculum will look like for your grade level. So I'm wrapping up some of the streamlined unit changes for next year. This is optional, and this will be the same session that everyone will attend in August. So regardless if you want to get a head start on it this summer, you're going to get an overview and the new updated curriculum in August. So that'll be on one of our August district days, and there'll be a required session for that as well. So I just kind of wanted you to know what was going on and how that will be impacting our instruction. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a great last 6 weeks, and I hope you have a safe and relaxing summer. As always, let me know how I can help you in any way.